Today here at Robert's Guitar Dungeon, we're talking about the worst pedals ever. Ever. As you may already know, I love pedals, and I can find a use for just about any pedal out there in some regard. Some of them I have enjoyed more than others, but we've all done it before in the past. We've all bought a pedal or some other piece of gear that on the back end of it, we really wish that we hadn't because it just flat out sucked. So here's my list of the 7 worst pedals ever. Let's get to it. Number 7, Digitech Whammy IV. While its predecessors, particularly the original Whammy, are very highly regarded, the original Whammy goes for hundreds of dollars on the used market these days, as they're getting very rare, very hard to find. However, the version 4 of this pedal was one of the worst I've ever owned. Not only did it add a real strange coloration to my tone that I did not enjoy, but it wasn't true bypass, and it came with its own very strange oddball 9.6 volt power supply that was compatible with absolutely nothing else. And it made it very difficult to work with, and I couldn't get rid of that thing fast enough. It is worth noting that Digitech improved all of these features on the current model, the Digitech Whammy IV. It is now true bypass, runs on a 9 volt power supply, and sounds much better. So hats off to Digitech for correcting their mistake. Number 6, the Mooer Shimverb. Mooer really should have named this pedal the Verb, because that's exactly what it sounded like to me. This was one of their first pedals, and when it came out, it was creating a lot of buzz as a much more affordable alternative to the Strymon Blue Sky, which was a real hot item at the time. Mostly because it did in fact have a shimmer reverb feature included with it. However, most of the reverb tones on this pedal were completely unusable, particularly the shimmer function, which had virtually no tweakability on it and was a very cheap sounding version of the Strymon. And overall, again, it was just a cheap sounding pedal and one that I've watched collect a lot of dust ever since. Number 5, Electro Harmonix Metal Muff. If you're a fan of the Big Muff family, this is probably not one that you would include in it. This is a high gain heavy metal distortion pedal, and I love metal distortion pedals. This one, however, sounds like 1,000 bees trapped inside of a tin can, particularly when you've got the boost function engaged. The boost function on this pedal is the most unusable boost on this planet ever. All it does is add a lot more of the treble frequencies, distorted treble frequencies at that, and is shrill enough to make you want to claw your own eyes out. For 88 bucks or whatever it was I paid for it, I don't know that it was worth half of that. Number 4, Zvex Fuzz Factory. This is one of the most bizarre sounding pedals I've ever heard, and quite frankly, one of the most unusable sounding pedals. I'm not a big fan of fuzz pedals anyway, but this is the most unusable sounding fuzz pedal I have ever heard. When it first came out, a lot of fuzz fanatics were flocking into the store that I was at and buying them up as fast as they possibly could. The first time I sold one, a guy brought it back the next day and claimed that he had a defective unit because it didn't work. So we plugged it in, listened to it together, and I agreed with him, it was the most unusable thing in the world. It had to be broken. There's no way a pedal could possibly sound like that with the weird background frequencies going up and down, and it sounded like it was picking up a radio station. So we got another one, plugged it in, make sure it worked, did the exact same thing, did a little bit more research, found out that's actually what it was supposed to do. Remember the sound effects of a real weird, bad 50s sci-fi movie? This pedal didn't sound that good. Number 3, Mad Professor Golden Cello. This pedal is an overdrive pedal with an additional octave chorusy type of modulation effect added to it that when you're playing individual notes actually didn't sound all that bad. However, as soon as you hit any more than one note, i.e. 2 notes or more, i.e. any chord imaginable, the Golden Cello suddenly begins to sound like something else golden altogether that is not nearly as pleasant. And the bigger the chords are, the worse this thing sounds. Mad Professor put quite a bit of effort into promoting this pedal right before its release, and when it came in, it sold like hotcakes, and many of those customers promptly returned it as fast as they could. It was that bad. If I had to describe what this pedal sounded like, I would describe it as a fax machine being bludgeoned to death by a dial-up modem. Number 2, the Digitech Eric Clapton Signature Crossroads Distortion. This is a pedal that Digitech designed as an homage to Eric Clapton, trying to recreate all of the great Eric Clapton's famous guitar tones and have them readily available inside all in one pedal. However, of the 7 modes that I believe were on it, there wasn't a single one that was anywhere even remotely close to usable. Every single mode on it sounded more and more like nails on a chalkboard than the one before it. This pedal became a laughingstock pretty quickly and did not take off nearly the way that Digitech had hoped. This is a bad, bad pedal. Number 1, Danelectro Black Licorice. Danelectro has 2 metal distortion pedals that I'm aware of, the Black Coffee and the Black Licorice. The Black Coffee isn't exactly the greatest sounding pedal in the world either, but the Black Licorice is laughable. This is a metal distortion pedal that has no gain control on it whatsoever, and a really weird octave switch in the middle that is the worst sounding octave effect ever. And that's about all the control that you had over it. So if you love the sound of it, great. If you wanted to tweak it a little bit, I don't know what to tell you. You can't. Of all the metal distortion tones that I've heard, this one made me want to jump out of a 12-story window. Hats off to Danelectro for trying to put something out to cater to the heavy metal crowd as well. But let's face it, they really excel at the classic, more traditional stuff in both effects and guitars. That's really where they need to stay. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Every subscription that I get to my channel means an awful lot to me. All links will be down in the description below, and please leave me a comment. Let me know what your least favorite pedal or the worst pedal you ever bought might be. Thank you so much for watching. You know what? There are tons of young people out there that want to get involved in music and do not have the means to do so. If you are watching this video, most likely you're a musician, and many experienced musicians have tons of broken and unwanted gear lying around that they're not doing anything with. Please visit my friends at Share the Music on Facebook at the link below and learn how you and your unwanted gear can help change somebody's life.